Alright. Back on this pretty cool thing where we're building on lens. We are building a follow module. If you missed out on video number 1, go check it out if you want. Basically what we're doing is we're building a follow module. There's a free module where anyone can follow a creator and they get this sort of follow NFT. There's a paid version. And we just talked about how we're making a stake version where users have to stake to follow you and they can actually get their stake back later. So it means people don't have to pay to follow you, but they have to have some skin in the game and lock that away for a while. You know, it could prevent civils. It could be just quite a fun way to do it. And it's a good way to build a module and lens and understand. So I'm using Forge here. You can see this is the compilation of Uni v3, but basically it's a lot quicker to compile stuff, which is quite nice. So we're going to be doing a lot of compiling, changing code. This is where we're at. We looked at in the last video what the fee follow module was. I've basically just created the stake follow module, which is copy paste of the fee follow module, and we're going to edit it from there. It just gives us a nice boilerplate to start off with. There's a lot of stuff in my Git here, so I'm going to figure out what it is. I think it's this out file over here that's been generated from Forge. Foundry doesn't ship obviously with that lens, and I've just added that. So I'm going to look for git ignore, which is, there it is, and I'm going to just put out in there. That's going to make this a lot nicer, and yeah, that's really going to be a lot more chilled. Okay, there's also this stuff that came with Forge that we can just delete. We don't need that. And cool, yeah, so that's quite simple. We've changed the git ignore, we've changed this foundry.toml yarn lock, and we've made this stake follow module over here. So that's where we at. And yeah, let's just say to start off with the stake follow module, we want to have it such that users stake $5, and after a certain amount of time they can get their $5 back, right? So again, I'm on the stake follow module, which is an exact copy of the fee follow module right now. We've got all of these imports which we can look at, and like if I click on this follow module and you want to see what it is, it's an interface. It's a standard interface for all lens compatible follow modules, right? So these are the things we need to have: the initialize, the process follow, the follow module transfer hook, and the is following, you know, return true or false if someone is following. So that makes a lot of sense. You can see we have the interface of the lens hub. We're going to interface with the fee-based module. If you check out the fee-based module, this fee-based module, you can see here, it's an abstract contract to be inherited by modules that require basic fee functionality, and it contains getters for module global parameters as well as validation function to check expected data. So what this basically does is it provides us with functions like currency whitelisted and treasury data. The treasury data we're not going to worry about, but the currency whitelisted, you know, currently there'll only be certain currencies or ERC20 tokens you can use, because otherwise if you could use any ERC20 token, people can write some nasty stuff that's non-standard in their ERC20 tokens and wreak some havoc, potentially. Sweet, so let's get back to it, and what I'm actually going to start by doing is cleaning a few things up. So it's actually very similar to the fee module, right? In the fee module, and remember this is what the fee module looks like over here, you have an address, the currency associated with this profile, the amount, the following cost, and who's getting this following cost. And ours is going to be super similar, right? We're also going to have a currency, we're also going to have an amount, but instead of the recipients, it's just the funds are being held in escrow. They're sort of just staking. What we are going to have is maybe the length of time that the funds are staked. So I'm going to change this last one over here to a UN256, and I'm going to say length of staking. That's what I'm going to call it. And these comments are going to change a bit. I don't know if I feel like it's going to be beneficial me changing all of these comments while talking to you guys. So I'm just going to actually kill this for now and remove some of those comments. But you can see now in the profile data, for every single creator, if one of these creators attach the stake module, when they initialize the stake module, they're going to basically have to choose these 3 parameters. How much do people have to stake? What currency? And for how long do they have to stake, right? Again, I'm just going to, I don't want to spend time writing all these comments while talking through it. So I'm going to get rid of these comments so it's not as confusing. And I'm going to call this going to change this to be the stake follow module. Whoops, made that a bit too small. So this is the stake follow module. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? So something that happened recently is I spilt water on my keyboard. Whoa. Something nuts is going on here. I spilt water on Ivan Moonlander, a nice split keyboard, but it's sitting in rice right now because I flipping spilt water on it. So anyways, I'm not so used to writing on my regular keyboard. It's a bit of a mission. So apologies for that, but there we go. So this is our stake follow module. Again, for now, we're just going to keep it inheriting these, the fee-based module, which I showed you guys. And if we look at the follow validator module base, this basically just validates NFT ownership. It's got the is following function over here. So follow validator follow module is following. What you basically do is you add in the profile ID, the follow NFT token ID, and it looks like it gets the follow NFT, and basically it checks that the person is following. Yeah, you can see it should return true over here if that is the case. Nice. So let's just see over here. So this is going to be the same, the data by profile, and that is this profile data, the address, the amount, the length of staking. We're going to initialize the follow module over here. Again, we're going to have the profile ID, and this bytes call data that we're going to decode is instead going to have this, right? It's not going to have an address and a recipient. We're going to decode this UN256, which is the length of staking. And just a side note, when you have a struct like this, memory or like storage is basically in these 250-bit slots. So we're going to have to use 1, 2, 3 slots here. If we made these both UN128s, we could pack this into a single slot and save a lot of we could save a slot, and it could be cheaper with gas. It's an optimization. We won't do it for now. That's just something to keep in mind over here. So I'm going to check here if the currency is not whitelisted, if the amount is 0, or let's just say if the length of staking is also 0. That shouldn't be right? The length of staking should be greater than 0. Then we're going to revert and say like invalid parameters. And again, this last thing I just need to change here is we need to change this last parameter over here. So now we sorted so far. So this is a super simple change, and what I want to start by doing straight away is I want to compile the code. You want to compile code as often as possible. Forge build, let's go forge build. I don't know why I keep getting that corrupt thing. There we go. Nice. It's telling us already what's going wrong. Recipient is not visible. So we changed recipient, and this is trying to send money to recipient, and that's not even what we want to do, right? So I'm just going to comment this all out for now. This is our process follow function. Nice. And now if I run forge build, bam. How quick was that to compile, man? Very, very quick. So that's super nice. So we've got everything compiling and working. All we have right now so far is if a creator chooses, instead of the fee module where you have to pay to follow, or the follow module which is just free, we've got the stake module, and when you initialize it, you choose how much people must stake, the amount, the currency, and the length that they have to stake, right? So let's actually process what that would now look like when you follow them. This is now very similar to a fee. Money is getting sent, but instead of sending it to the recipient, we need to hold it in escrow somewhere. Let's just hold it in the stake follow module contract actually for now. There's some complicated things we have to think about, because every creator is using this same stake follow module contract. So if all the creators are putting funds in escrow in the same contract becomes like quite a big honeypot. So you need to be very careful, and we'll get into why that is going to be complicated when we look at stuff like putting the money in Aave. But for now, these first couple of things make complete sense, right? We're going to get the amount, we're going to get the currency, and then we're going to call validate data is expected. And if I click on this function over here, validate data is expected, it's what we inherited from fee-based module. And what it's basically just checking is that the bytes data that we inputted, when we decode it, it actually matches the currency and amount. So it's validating basically that nothing funky is going on here, right? Because we have this bytes call data that's been coming from the hub that's processing the follow, and we're wanting to check that the hub, the data of the amount and currency matches actually what we have stored for the profile over here, because we know for the profile, this is what the amount and currency should be. So again, this isn't code I've written, this is just editing sort of the fee follow module and making it a stake follow module. The treasury stuff, I'm not going to do. I don't think that's as important. I don't even know really how the treasury works, so there's going to be no treasury fees here. That's going to be great. I'm going to uncomment this, and obviously instead of recipient, what we're going to be getting over here is our length of staking, right? This is important. This is how long it's going to be locked away for. And what we now need to think of, when a user follows, boom, from this timestamp now, the user will be able to withdraw from this timestamp now plus this length of staking. At that point, they'll be able to withdraw. So we need to sort of try figure out, okay, well, how do we sort of keep track of that? So we'll get to that now, and let's actually do that. So the way I'm going to do it is going to do it by the following. So let's create another mapping over here. So you put your data stuff all at the top over here, and for those of you who don't know what a mapping is, we'll get onto that now, but I'm making a triple mapping, so this is a bit dirty. It's not that dirty actually, it's quite simple, but I'm going to map first from the profile ID to the token ID, right? And so profile ID to token ID to the timestamp that they can withdraw. So this, I'm going to say public, and I'm going to say timestamp eligible for withdrawal, right? And just to remind you, what I'm mapping from is profile ID to token ID, and this is going to map to timestamp to withdraw. And since every creator or profile ID has their own ID, and every creator is NFT has their own IDs, this is ID 1, this is ID 2, this is ID 3, this mapping basically says, okay, it's creator 1, it's NFT ID 3, and that person can withdraw at this timestamp. Or it might say, this mapping would say, come on pen, give me the good stuff over here. Or it would say, okay, creator number 2, this is the ID of the creator, and this creator has another NFT NFT from a follower, and it's NFT number 7. So that's like basically what this mapping is all about. And we're going to set this timestamp that the user is eligible to withdraw at over here now when we process the follow. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say at the profile ID and at the we need the NFT ID to set this. Okay, well, let's come back to that right now. We need to think a bit about how we do that. So we need to figure out, okay, what is the ID of the NFT of the person that's following? So we have their address, right? This is the address of the follower. But what we want to do is we want to map this to not the address of the follower. Let's map it to, you could do either. There's a few thoughts here. So we could map it from profile ID to, no, we couldn't. Yes, we could. So we could map it from profile ID to address to timestamp, or we do it from address. Okay, so there's different schools of thought here of why it might be good to do it to the token ID or the address. Now, if we do it to the address, the issue is if the person all of a sudden, here from to sends the follower NFT to another address, then the original address will still be able to withdraw the stake, perhaps, unless we, on this hook, transfer it to the new address, right? That might be something that's nice. For me, it's cleaner if we do it to the NFT ID, because there's only going to be ever one NFT ID that's got a stake, whereas you might end up, I actually need to check if there's some kind of validation, but you could technically have an address that's got multiple follower NFT IDs. Maybe you had 5 different accounts follow the same person and send all of their follower NFTs to the same address. I don't know if there's some kind of logic validating against that. There probably is, but I don't actually know. But for simplicity now, let's just use the address for simplicity. So we're going to change our mapping. So from profile ID to address to timestamp. Cool, so going to change that. Timestamp eligible for withdrawal. So profile ID and the address, which is this follower item over here. And what we're going to say is that's going to be equal to timestamp block.timestamp. So that will get us what the current timestamp is, plus this length of staking. Right? Very nice. So yeah, man, there we go. So this address length of staking, firstly, that's wrong. This should be a UN256. I don't know why we didn't see that. And we could actually just, if we're not using this anywhere else, I think this is just slightly cleaner. Let's just take this line out completely together. And what we're really just doing is, as soon as someone follows, we're setting when they're eligible to withdraw their stake. They're eligible to withdraw from this current timestamp plus the length of staking. We've got the amount, we've got the currency. We don't need this treasury amount and adjusted amount. What we just need over here is this ERC20 function. We have the currency, we safe transferring from the follower to this address, so address this, and the amount is just going to be the amount we've decoded here, no adjusted amount or anything like that. Okay, so as you can see, this is quite really simple contract, and we'll do a lot more that makes it a lot better. But for now, we have process, right, where you follow. We don't have anything else. Let's just see this compiles. Forge build. Man, that was quick. Now the obvious question is, someone needs to be able to redeem the stake, right? So what I'm going to write here is I'm going to write a function redeem stake And actually, I don't even think we really need to. Yes, we do. What are we going to take in? We might just need to take in the. You'll be redeeming the stake for a certain profile ID. So we'll need to take in what the profile ID is. And let's make this external. And sweet. Got one more bracket over there. Cool. There we got our function. That's nice. Nothing in it yet. What we're going to first want to do is maybe simply do a require. And they do their errors quite nicely here. In Lens, you can see they've got errors that they import. Library errors. I haven't looked into exactly how they do it, but would probably want to do something like that. But this is simple. So to redeem the stake, what we're going to require is that the time now, right? Or timestamp.now, I'm getting confused. Block.timestamp. We're going to require that it's greater or equal to the timestamp that the user's eligible to withdraw. Okay, first there's actually a couple other things we're going to have to do, right? We're going to want to check that the timestamp now, enough time has passed and it's greater than the time at which the user can withdraw. But we're going to need the follower's address, and we're just going to have this address as message.sender because we're assuming that this follower is the only person that can withdraw. And now we're going to process return over here. Process return. Other things we're going to have to look at doing is obviously getting the currency and the amount. We validated the expected data here, but from the profile ID, we should just be able to pull what that currency and amount is. Something I'm keen to do though, because we use the address, is do this hook over here. So what I'm going to do on this hook, this is a great example, right? So remember, we storing what timestamp someone is eligible to withdraw. We also need to basically store if someone has staked and like that they actually can withdraw, right? So we're assuming everyone can. So like what the issue over here would be is if you follow someone, remember, and then you send the NFT to someone else, that's just always what we need to think about with this follow module transfer hook. Now you've followed someone and this person has staked, they've put the money in, right? And if you send it to someone else, does the other person get to redeem that stake after say 90 days, or does the original person get to redeem the stake? That's why this is going to be important, but let's come back to that. So anyone can call this. Now that the timestamp, enough time has passed for the user, right? And there's going to be a bug in this, so I'm going to ask you to think about what that is now. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the currency, and the currency over here we'll need to get from data by profile id.currency. Okay, so that's going to be our currency, and we're transferring it from, we don't even need to transfer from, we can just transfer because it's from this contract, and we are transferring to the message.sender. So that's the person who's calling this function who's trying to redeem, and we're going to transfer whatever the stake amount is. And let's just compile this. Okay, so everything's compiling. Now, what are some of the errors with this, right? So whenever we're writing smart contracts, we're thinking, how could people basically, this is a game, this is all one big game. How can people find edge cases and exploit the game and earn money? So let's just imagine someone activates this profile. We have 10 people that all follow. They're all putting in $100, something like that. Immediately, all that money can be drained right now because I will come and I'll call redeem stake. Anyone can call redeem stake, right? It's external. Is block timestamp greater than this? Well, because I've never ever called process follow, that means this timestamp eligible for withdrawal has never been set for me. So the default value for this is going to be 0. So this is going to be true. Fine, no problems. And what's it going to do? It's going to send me money. It's going to send to me the amount that's in the stake. So that's really bad. And I'm just going to call it 5 times. So number one, you can call it multiple times. And number two, anyone can call it, right? So there's a few things we need to think about over here. That's not really what we want to do. So we can say, firstly, let's just write an error message, not eligible to withdraw yet. And again, I'm probably just going to write this with ease in mind to fix these things, and we can always clean stuff up later and then eventually make a PR into the Lens GitHub. We're also going to do some cool testing. So I'm checking again here that you're not eligible to withdraw. Another simple way for me maybe to do it, again, these are 2 require statements. We could do it in one. There's lots of stuff we can do, but let's just check that this timestamp eligible to withdraw is not equal to 0. Because if it's equal to 0, that means that this hasn't been set and it's someone who's not even followed, right? Only followers. Actually, instead of doing that, that's the way to follow. Let's use this function over here is following. I think it was module base. Do you guys remember seeing it earlier? Follow validator follow module base is following. Okay. Standard function to validate follow NFT ownership. Okay, we require a bunch of things. Okay, I actually don't think it's going to be as simple as the way I suggested. So let's just, even though it doesn't look as nice, require that this timestamp eligible for withdrawal. And what I'm actually going to do is just say UN256 withdraw time, just so I don't need to read this value twice from storage, which would be less gas efficient. So I'm going to put the require the withdraw time is greater than the block timestamp, and now it's easier to put it here as well. And require withdraw time is not equal to 0, right? The withdraw time needs to be set. Just not anyone can withdraw. Invalid, not eligible to withdraw yet, or not staked, right? That's one way to do it. You got to be careful of how many characters are in here. It costs more if there's too many characters. I can't remember the exact semantics around it, but that's something to think about. Nice. Okay, so now we've figured those attacks, right? People can't redeem their stake too early, and they can't redeem their stake without actually being a follower that's been processed over here, right? So that's nice. Final thing we need to do is, if people have redeemed their stake, they shouldn't be able to do it again, right? So we have to have one more value over here, and let's just say this value should map to a Boolean rather, and it should be has withdrawn stake. Has withdrawn stake, question mark. And we require this to be false, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to require that has withdrawn stake is false. They haven't withdrawn their stake. Already withdrawn. Bam, simple as that. That's what we're going to require. Why is this not compiling or auto formatting? Already withdrawn. It's a full stop, that's why. Nice, already withdrawn. And then what we're going to do here, and obviously what I've completely neglected to add here is these parameters in this mapping. This is for specific profile ID and message.sender. We require that they haven't withdrawn, and immediately what we're going to do after that is we're going to set this to true, right? So they'll only ever be able to call this function once. Bam. And there's a few things you always have to think of these edge cases. This is like smart contract development. But what happens if someone follows, collects the NFT, eventually they redeem their stake, and they set this variable to true, and then they send their NFT to someone else? This variable remains set true, right? And then they follow the creator again to get another follower NFT. Then if they ever try to redeem their stake again, their second stake will be locked. So those are the kind of things we're thinking about. Again, I don't know if in Lens yet, I've dug pretty deep, but I haven't read everything yet. I don't know if there's like logic that prevents you from following someone, getting the follower NFT, at some stage sending it to someone else, and then basically refollowing and getting another follower NFT. I think you have to be careful about that kind of stuff. I'm sure they've thought a lot about it, but yeah. Anyways, let's compile this. And again, that's what this hook is for over here. So what we'll do on this hook is when it gets sent from to, and let's actually just first tie off over here. So now what happens is when you redeem your stake, you can do this after a set amount of time. It requires you already haven't withdrawn. It sets that you now have withdrawn, and the currency, it transfers the money back to you. Sweet. So what we've basically just written is a stake follow module where instead of just having to pay someone to follow, the creator requires you to stake a certain amount of currency for a certain amount of time, and then you eventually can actually get that back. So that's what it is. Now this is what we're going to look at, this follow module transfer hook. What happens if you send it to someone else, right? If you send it to someone else, this is where I guess it depends a little bit on personal preference. Like we could do it in multiple different ways. We could just say if you send the NFT to someone else, tough luck, they've got the NFT, but you still get to redeem the stake, right? That if we just left it as it currently was, if you send the follow NFT to someone else, you're the one who still has to just get the stake. But let's maybe for this example just show if you send it to someone else, what we're going to do is we're going to say firstly we're going to check the has withdrawn. We're going to not the has withdrawn, we're going to look at the timestamp eligible for withdrawn, and we're going to say if the block.timestamp is greater, no, actually let's not even do that. The timestamp eligible for withdrawal, there's actually a few ways to do it. What we could do is we could say, like, when you try send it to someone, if you haven't already redeemed a stake and you're eligible to, it will redeem the stake for you and then it will send it to someone else. There's like so many different ways to do it. Otherwise, what we do is the timestamp you're sending it from, we're just going to put it back to 0 as if they've never staked. And the person you're sending it to, we're going to give them, so first what we're going to do is we're going to say the timestamp eligible to withdraw from we're going to set to 2. So if that makes no sense, hold on, let me explain that. So the person who's getting it, sorry, this should be 2, they can now withdraw at the same as wherever it was from, right? So let's just say this person, sorry, that's wrong over here. Let's just say person 1 sends it to person 2 and they were eligible to withdraw at time t3. Now what we're saying is this next person is just also going to be able to withdraw at time t3, and this first person is now going to be able to withdraw at 0. They can't withdraw. So that's all we're basically doing over there. And then we'll also have to obviously have a look at this has withdrawn stake, right? We'll do the same thing. And this to and from, I've actually messed up. This to nightmare. This to should be the second parameter, and this from should be also the second parameter, and same actually over here. Nice. Okay, has withdrawn stake. What we're going to do is again the same thing. The from person to, it's going to be set to the same as from, and we are going to clear the memory of from. We're just going to say this is going to be equal to false again. And note, if the person's hasn't withdrawn, it will likely be false for both of them anyways. So yeah, it's not an issue. Another thing we have to think about is, like, remember, if you're sending it to a person who already has a follower NFT and they already have this timestamp set, then that could be an attack vector, technically, right? So the way someone could exploit that would be if you say had 5 follower NFTs, and let's say of 5 different addresses, and one you've already served your time, you could basically send that one to all of your individual addresses, and one by one it would reset your timestamp eligible to withdraw to the earliest one, and then you'd be able to withdraw. But again, I don't know if you can have multiple follower NFTs held on the same address, multiple follower NFTs that are following the same creator. It's just something to think about. Always thinking of these edge cases. That's how people do hectic stuff. All right. So if we build, okay, where's 91? Follow from NFT to, fine. That's not being used. Fine. Sweet. So what we've done is we've created a stake follow module. That's as simple as that. And yeah, let's take it from there. I'm going to commit this. And maybe what we do next on the stake follow module is we look at how we, instead of these funds, so remember we having currency that's held for a length of staking, and they're just all sitting idle in this contract. This person's $5, this person's $5, this person's $5. And why not put them in something like Aave, earn interest, and do something with the cool interest? Like that seems like that makes a lot of sense, because if you're going to have 100,000 people following, and these 100,000 people are all going to put $10 in, and they're going to have to stake for 90 days, that's $1 million of capital for 90 days that's sitting idle, that maybe might as well be in the Aave ecosystem earning interest and accruing as revenue to someone. Sweet. Yeah, you can check in the description the GitHub link for this, and I will push that now. And then yeah, next time we'll do the Aave integration and some testing as well. We're going to do some testing.